Hey guys, how's it going? This is Dave Sebastian, coordinator of mentoring arts programming for Wayside Youth and Family. I am here today with you guys doing our virtual TAG program, TAG standing for the art group. Today we're going to work with Aqua color brushes. This is a molotow product. As you know, if you've ever seen any of my stuff, molotow is basically the company I work with for pretty much everything. These particular markers are dye based as opposed to paint. Most of what molotow makes are paint markers. So today we're going to try out some of their traditional markers. So traditional markers would be dye based. So they're food safe, so you could eat them if you decided to, which by the way, the molotow paint, the water-based, is also like that, though I would absolutely not suggest eating any markers or anything like that. So these particular ones, though, are dye-based, which means that they're more like a traditional marker, like a Prismacolor, Crayola. Really, all of those type of markers are dye-based. Now, these are, in theory, a high-quality dye developed by molotow. But we're gonna see, you know what I mean? Today we're gonna work on the character Nightcrawler from the X-Men. If you guys haven't seen that guy, Google him. I feel like I probably should have been able to show you guys. Let's see, maybe I can show you guys real quick what that guy looks like. So that is Nightcrawler right there. So we're going to try to place him in a slightly more interesting place with some lighting and stuff. Like, he's a very interesting X-Men. Not to go off on a diatribe about the X-Men, but I do feel like of all the X-Men, he's an example of how different being a mutant can be. There's a excuse me. There's a comic called God Loves, Man Kills, and it's about racism related to mutants. And I think today, none of us are more conscious of racism than ever, you know. But imagine you were born shaped like the devil, right? In a particularly rural part of Germany. This, I imagine, would not be high quality stuff. In fact, at the beginning of Nightcrawler's life, just after he was born, his mother threw him off a cliff because she was afraid of him and thought he was the devil. Luckily, he was saved and actually grew up in the Munich circus, which is a very small circus in Munich. My wife always says she hates it when I talk about comics like they're real history, but of course these days the comics are the wiki of all of our characters. So anyway, today we're going to work on Nightcrawler. He's a cool looking guy. He's got 3 fingers on each hand and 2 toes on his feet. He's got a devil tail, as you can see here. This is his old costume when he first kind of came out. I really like it, so I'm going to go with it. The purpose of doing this is kind of my reaction to some racism, you know what I mean? Like, I'm an artist and I have no voice in such things, but today we're just going to try to engage in a little bit by trying to create a piece about a real outsider, you know. But Black Lives Matter, you guys. It's all good, you know. Like, do what you can to help, you know. Not terrorists, good people. Really good people. You know what I'm talking about, man? You got to do this stuff. You got to be cool. You got to take care of each other. You know, it's really important that we do that. You know what I mean? So anyway, enough talk from me. Let's get in here and kind of work on it. So if anybody has any comments or questions or anything like that, please feel free to throw that in the comments or anything like that. I am watching the comments to respond. You know, we are talking live stuff here, so we got to try to do the best that we can. I would really like to be able to interact with you guys more. You know, I'm trying. Make sure I got this whole deal up. Oops. Right. See if we can get in here. Check this out. All right. So in any case, we will be watching the comments, okay? And see if anything happens to pop up. We're gonna see what happens. All right. So that is what's up. We got some comments set up. Super excited about that. I've been having a hard time getting the chat going or anything like that. So there it is. So we are going to get into starting with our project. Oops. So here we go. I'm gonna turn off the logos here for a sec. So what we're gonna work on is setting up the character, putting him into place, giving him a slightly more action pose than this one. Though I'll be honest with you, this is a fairly sedate composition of Nightcrawler. I went back and forth about having it be like a hardcore action pose, which Nightcrawler does a lot of, and he's also a teleporter, so you can work with the sort of smoke around him and that kind of stuff. But I felt like not engaging that stuff. I felt like we'll just try to have him be more like an interestingly lit dark character. Okay, so obviously the first thing we got to do is sketch the guy out. So we want it to be relatively large in his background. I want to sort of establish a straight shot of his background so that we can kind of adjust that. You know what I mean? So there's our straight shot. This pencil I'm using here is a Create Color monolith pencil, which is just an all lead pencil, not no wood on it. Not wicked interesting. So we got that line. We want to make sure we have the parallel line here. This is going to be my my background elements. Maybe a little bit shifted. All right, so now we got that spot. And we're going to put our character's feet here and there. All right, and try to get him up here, quite a bit. Going to leave a little bit of this space here to help me create a background. Get our character in here. Try to make him look kind of tough. I very much draw in the Marvel way, which I'm not super proud of, but when I was a kid, that was the book. If you wanted to draw comics, Steve Buscemi and Stan Lee were awesome enough to put out comics the Marvel way, which I didn't exactly learn how to draw as well as I wish I had from it. Steve Buscemi is an amazing artist, and I imagine if I spent more time working on it, I could have learned a lot from him. But that's kind of how it goes. But I do feel like years after reading the book a million times and trying to work with it, that I did find that I had an awful lot of effect on my style based on that book. For example, you can look at this right here. Let me get a little bit closer for you guys. All right. So you see that I'm drawing basically in a circles and tubes kind of a way. Trying to establish where you want things like joints to go. I don't always do it this robotic, because I get some of the stuff, but it's pretty cool way to go. Like this gives you like some rounded forms, some three-dimensionality, a good way to place a character. I like it. I think that it kind of works, and it's what I've been doing, so I'm stuck with it. So we're gonna place the first characters. I think we're gonna move this down here a little bit. 1 foot right there. Creating weight in a character is very difficult. When I was a kid, I met a guy, just really exceptional at it, and I feel like it's been the battle of my life to try to get better at creating weight, but I've really never been able to do it the way that guy did it. He was really just brilliant. So then we kind of, this is obviously wicked loose, but it's important to get like some form of foot coming out here, just so it can remind me that that's where I want it to go. The tools I'm working with here today is the monolith I told you guys about, a tough stick eraser stick, a Staedtler Mars plastic eraser, and this guy, which is the light wash Derwent water soluble graphite pencil. I'm not sure I'm going to use this because I think it may interact negatively with the brush, but we're going to see what happens. So we got kind of a general establishment of what we want this character to look like. I'm concerned that his legs aren't quite long enough, so we might have to do some adjusting there. I'd sort of like his leg to be a little lower. And if this one's pointing straight out, maybe we could do something like this one pointing somewhat straight. Alright, so that's more or less how I want his foot to point. Jump out and take out some of our guidelines as we go. I think these are important, and if you don't put your guidelines in first, you'll skip your character and mess up your guidelines, because that's how it goes. Also true at this intersection here, character's going to be in a lot of dark, so we don't really need to have a ton of this overlap here. But we're going to establish at least where his costume, the center line of his body is. Nightcrawler's name is Kurt Wagner, and his head is kind of small. He's not a heavy dude. He's kind of a small dude. So this character here is looking a little more, having more weight to him than Nightcrawler does. So we got to slim him down a little. I do like the idea of having him in the shadow and looking tougher or something like that, but we do have to slim him up a little. He's got more of a dancer's body than a fighter, which is pretty typical for an astronaut, for an acrobat astronaut. He'd be a good astronaut, blue devil astronaut. For an acrobat, he kind of has that kind of body. He's thin and strong, as opposed to big and bulky. Going to kind of leave this area up here because I'm going to put all of this in shadow. I do want this arm to stick out because he does have the 3 fingers on that hand. And he looks kind of tough. Sometimes a lot of erasing. I used to jokingly say that I never erase anything, but honestly, in these first few steps, you kind of erase a lot of stuff because we're trying to establish what the character's, location, of course, but also his, what his physique looks like what he's sort of thinking, right? Because you want to give the most expressive part of us is our body. You might say something, but it's your body that tells the story. So you want to make sure you're building your character with that sensibility in mind. Sand might be a little big. Try the best you can to, establish some more information. Like as you continue to go, like add more stuff. Like obviously if he's an athlete or an acrobat or a gymnast, he's going to be extremely strong. This information only matters if you feel like you need it. I'm placing it honestly so I can take it away. Going to give him this little space in here because this says that he's thin. If we can see this gap while his hands are at his sides, then that means that he's kind of thin. Also, his costume comes up through the shoulders here, so we want to kind of make sure we keep that there. Don't love his one hand. Other hand looks all right. Too bad. Need a pencil sharpener. Just had one like seconds ago. Hold on just 1 second. Oh, do I even have my little tiny one floating around? Must have a pencil sharpener, otherwise we're in trouble. All right. Let's go back in here. So it looks to me like his legs are a little long. But it doesn't really matter because we're going to put his legs in mostly in shadow. You know what I mean? Well, I guess actually now that I think about it, I kind of want his legs to be less in shadow. So now that we got like most of this happening, we can adjust the size of his head, which I think we should have be just a bit smaller. Give where his information is going to be. It's good to make these lines arced like this because then they assume they wrap around his head. There's not an easier way I find to get sort of like instant depth. It's really cool and it definitely helps me anyway. Nightcrawler's got a lot of interesting deformities is not what I want to say. Let's say mutations. For example, he has pointy ears. The fingers, the toes, that stuff is obvious. But even he's sort of like unique in sort of every way. So up here I'm throwing in some reference for hair. I really want his whole face to be in shadow, but you want to make sure you establish it correctly, so that mostly what you say is that we're putting it to take it away, not to hide it. So But I do want his eyes to be able to be seen to glow. Only problem here is this head is too small for this body. You're making him look too muscular. So we got to make his head a little bigger without making him look like a big head. So we just get in and try some different adjustments. Give him slightly smaller neck. This stuff here is going to be related to his costume, really, more than his physique. Too much like a gray. It seems like he has really like regular eyes. They just glow. How's that one look? That's a little better. That's a little bit more where I want it to go. How you guys keeping up with me? Like I expect anyone to be drawing this right now. Just kidding, guys. If you draw with me, that's awesome. If you don't, that's kind of awesome. That's kind of totally fine. You know, like my deal here is just to make you feel like you want to draw, not to teach you how to draw. You know what I mean? Like, I always like to tell the young adults that I work with that I probably could copy some artwork that you guys made, but I can't create in the way you guys create it. You know, like it comes out of your head and it's your stuff. So like that's your style. Even if you don't think your style is that good, it's yours, and that's really important, you know. So I need a few more pencils. This is my pencil collection. Always sticker everything you own is my policy. So what I need is a sharper pencil. Now the all lead is a great pencil, but it's sort of an odd size. So we're going to switch over. They're both HB pencils, both the same density, but this guy can get sharper. So we want to try to get this guy as sharp as we can, and then work with this guy. So that's an extremely sharp pencil. That thing will poke your eye out. All right, back to working with our friend Nightcrawler. So see how these lines feel? I can actually go softer with a sharper pencil. Allows me to make more sort of direct adjustments and be able to see what information I want to keep and what information I have to get rid of. I always wind up erasing more than I need to erase, but I think it's important to, you know, close the gap between what you thought you were going to draw and what not. If it was, you know, if you needed to erase it, it obviously was not working out. Another thing is try not to rub your hand across your piece of paper as much as possible. I realize you've seen me do it about 25 times now, but if you don't do it, it keeps our oils off of the page, which can affect the way the marker sort of lays out, and then of course like streaking and that kind of stuff because of your hand. Okay. So like I said, we're going to basically put this guy in shade after we get his feet out. So his feet do one of these things, and then he has a toe in the back. Now these are round feet, so you have to kind of don't want to make them look like chicken feet, which they kind of look like right now. But you want to give them some roundness, and putting some of these, contour lines on will help remind you of the first, help remind me that they're rounded objects. smooth out that loop there because thumbs don't actually bend that way. And just overlap a little because all of us basically stand, you know, our hands are kind of out, so. Alright. So now we got to put in some of the character's costume, but again, the lighting of this is going to take out a lot of these things. Before we get into his costume, we have to switch to marker. So what I want to do is I want to go in here and take out anything I can think of that I don't need. You know what I mean? And that's little bits of the corner of his hands. I want this gap right here to stay. Okay, but a lot of this other stuff, like, you know, how sketchy it is over here. Alright, so now we're starting to get away from how big and stuff our guy was, and now he's starting to look a little bit thinner. You know what I mean? So the next thing is we want to put in just the last little bits of information, which is where we want his costume to transition, and where we want the intersections of some of this stuff. If you look at... sorry about this. 1 second. Okay, so if you take a look at his costume, you see that it comes out on the edges quite a bit, you know, like he's got some extraneous information. So we want to make sure that we include that when we're going to go to our next stage of brush. This hand is entirely too much, so we have to kind of fix that. But I'm going to put my light ending just about like mid-chest here. I want to use a ruler because if this was an architectural shadow, it would obviously be, you know, pretty cut out. So I want to kind of bring it down around mid-bicep. Right. So this line here is going to have to be adjusted a little. Didn't mean to make it quite so opaque. Definitely take it off of these spots, soften it up a little. Now this line here, of course, has to do one of these because it's around his huge biceps. Which actually this particular character doesn't have any huge biceps. But this pose comes from a drawing by Rizzo for the comic Brother Lono. I know Rizzo from his work on 100 Bullets, which is a tremendously good comic, and if you guys are looking for some like really intense crime stuff, that's the way to go. Brilliant stuff. So that's where I got my idea for this design, and I would recommend you guys check it out. It's a super black and white style. He has completely his own style of page design and stuff, and I feel like page design is something that's really hurting in today's comics. You know, there's too many 9-panel things. Let's blow out some panels. Let's do some crazy stuff, right? So, so all of this character I want to basically be in the dark. I want to put an archway behind him, which is going to go more or less from here. We do need a straight, you know, kind of line initially anyway, because we want these lines to really be parallel. I'm going to put one here, pretty light one. The other one we want to start just on his shoulder and try to go parallel as much as possible. Knock this guy out, and make sure you take a look that it doesn't overlap anywhere else that you can work with it. You know what I mean? Like that spot right there. So after we do that one, we want to again do another parallel one right here. And I think this one, we'll do another parallel one of this one. More or less moves over about that much. And I think that's where we'll end right there. So we want to go just over our character's head here. That did not work out at all. All right. So we're going to have this art. They're going to be. I'm building archways in the background. So what we wanted to do is basically come from here and go down here, but we have to have the arc be clean, you know. So what I'm going to do is establish a center line between the two and keep working on it until I can get it how I kind of want it to look. That was close. There we go. All right. There's that thing. Oops. Not bad. You know, this is not bad. This is not exactly perfect, but it's not too bad. I wish I had my pencil, my template. Of course, I have a circle template around here somewhere. This might work. Maybe I just tighten up the arcs a little, because that's more or less where I want it to go. Not bad. I kind of like what happened there. All right. Now the problem is, as you adjust something, it always gets more dark than you really want it to be, which is extremely inconvenient. But what are you gonna do? Something fall? Pencil, I've got my eraser. I think I'm okay. Now we're gonna just adjust the size of these archways because we made them a bit larger. So now we have to make them a little smaller. Erase the other one. All right. Okay. Fortunately, this little piece of the archway doesn't seem to be working out as well as the rest. But we're going to keep working on that and kind of see what happens. You know what I mean? So we're going to take this and move it over to this archway. Whoa, that was terrible. If your hands shake enough, a template doesn't even matter. Sorry guys, dropped out of the 3rd grade, you know how it is. Man, that was terrible too. Sorry about this, guys. Totally blocking the camera. Just want to get it right in the right spot and stop screwing up my line. All right. Not the perfect way to create a circle, but you know what? It's going to work, so it doesn't matter that much. It just doesn't matter. We got a couple of our archways coming along. This one worked out a little better than the last one. Nothing like having to fix something 30 times, mostly because you did it wrong. You know what I'm saying? Of course, what we want is for these things to blend in relatively. Okay, one more. And we want to have it be roughly the same distance away. So right in here. Now, I'm sorry about, I guess I don't have it. So I'm not blocking the camera, but we're going to get, well, I will be, because I'm going to get up and so forgive me for just 1 second as I get up in front of this thing and block the camera. Okay? Okay, now we got our relatively okay arc in there. We want to kind of use this small one because this looks okay. I'm going to cut the edge off just like we did over there. Alright, parallel to this one. There's one line. This one's going to be kind of inconvenient because it's just outside where I want it to be. Hold on just 1 sec. All right, so 1 sec. Trying to find some kind of interesting thing to listen to while I'm working with you guys. But I have a really hard time creating artwork in silence, and talking to you guys. There's no one to talk to. So you know, it kind of is what it is. So now that we got our these shapes happening, this archway in the background, We're going to throw some detail back there, but we're going to do that in a few minutes. Now we want to go back to looking at our character. Now we said that our character has, he has this live, he has this active kind of costume, like some stuff happening, and then of course he has his tail. So we have to add that information in before we, move to markers. I feel like we're in at 40 minutes and we haven't got to markers, but this is set up. This is important, and so it's going to make a difference. That stuff there, if you happen to notice it, is Createx Bloodline colors, designed by Tim Gore. Really cool airbrush paint. I also use them in markers and stuff. So check those out if you're looking for something like that. Okay, so now we have his costume, and we got to get some reference to that happening. All right. So his costume basically comes down to around this spot and comes up around his upper body. So we want to do the same on both sides, right? And then we want to continue that line, out to these sort of wing things that he has, which actually go the other direction. So these ones, they come up around to his neck. Whoops. Come up around to his neck like this. He does have like a turtlenecky kind of thing going on, costume-wise. And it has a large dip here in the middle. All right. And then once you got that out, following his clavicle, which is this bone here, we bring it out, and this shoulder piece comes right back in around his arm. Right. Kind of would like it if it was up a little bit more. Really take out, everything in here, because he has nothing in there. You can't see his muscles because his costume bows out in this way. Same with this, really, is I'm going to take a lot of this away, so it only matters so much, Sorry about that. That's my daughter closing the door kind of hard behind me, which is cool. I don't know how working at home goes. I'm sure everybody's having just a fantastic time. Luckily, my work fits in pretty good with this kind of stuff, so it doesn't. This is what I would be doing if the pandemic wasn't happening, so it's kind of okay. I'm feeling okay anyway. Alright, throw that ear in there just so we can kind of moderate, give him a little bit more of his personality in the silhouette, which what I'm going to do here is basically turn him into a silhouette. I feel like right now he's looking entirely too much at the camera, makes his head look too big. So, alright, his arms have these bands on them. I want to move his head this way, his eyes this way a little bit. Those are great, huh? Oh man, some days you just can't figure it out. Things just don't want to work, have his ear here. I kind of turn his face this way a little bit. And that in turn means turn his eyes a bit. Yeah, I like those. That looks a little better. And kind of mirrors his, his face. He also has, dragon teeth and stuff, which I should not be including, but I thought that it was funny. All right. So, just give him a good, All right. Looks like we pretty much have really everything that we need. I guess I was going to throw a couple of windows back here, just for the sake of seeing, kind of through the window to like some plants and stuff that are out here. And behind them, we can throw a door. That line going, so we can sort of show the bottom of the door. Kind of looking to have the ground out here on this height. Once again, we're back with our friend the ruler. Just want to make sure we have some ground consistent all the way behind this guy. This is also going to be somewhat of a defining, sort of shape. It's going to be some of my shadow keys. I want to soften up the shadow that I'm working with right here. Got the line that I want to use, but I want to break the shadow up a little. Same thing as earlier, the shapes related to the background have to be perfectly straight, otherwise they don't make any sense, So, but I feel like I want it to go, just down a little bit more like around his kind of his knees. So we're gonna go parallel to that one. There we go. All right. Okay, so now that we got those, take out this one back here. And these ones in between. This would be more shadow, right? Okay. Make sure we got this pillar coming all the way down everywhere that we need it. Looks pretty good. I want to make the bottom of these archways though fall in the same spot. Right there. Alright, so this is the base of the archways. This is going to be their shadow. Right. Right. All right, so we got a door, a window, earlier I mentioned Rizzo. His name is Eduardo Rizzo. I'm very sorry that I forgot your first name, sir. Incredibly talented guy. Probably one of the funnest things in my comic reading life has been reading 100 Bullets. It's really, really brilliant stuff. I'll just throw one more window back here. I want to run parallel to our top line here. Where we want the window to go, which would be cool if it was like right here. Go. Again, I was saying that this this pose and this concept art was drawn by Eduardo Rizzo. I am 100% borrowing your background, sir, but I don't want to, take too much of it. Like this is as little as I can. I do this a real lot so that I can decide where I want the lines to go before I make them with the ruler. Because I feel like once you make them with the ruler, you're relatively committed. Right? Okay, see. Oh. Messed up that top line. This guy, he runs parallel. All the rest of these guys look pretty good. So now over here we got this one. Don't need this line. It's just gonna be background information. Do need this one. We need to be parallel to the side. Same thing with this guy. We want to put a little top cap on like this, and then one on top of that. Simple stuff that kind of goes a long way. You don't need a ton of detail, you know, to tell the story. It's good to have some, though. Parallel, 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 and that's where we go, right down here to the archway. So now the archway is, or our shadow from the archway is here, our background ground is there. So now we have to deal a little bit with our foreground. I want this one to also be in shadow, but in the same place. Okay. I want this one to also come out like that. All right. Looks pretty good like our background. All right. Just want to adjust where his eyes are related to, you know, where the rest of the information for his head would be. Because the only thing you're going to be able to see from his head is going to be his eyes. A little bit of the shape of his head. So, right around at the height of his ears. Okay. Up here to his hips a little bit more. All right. This dip here that he has and these shoulder pieces come all the way down to the bottom of his costume. Get a little bit of his lat development here. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Oh, just get me out of there. All right. So all we're gonna see, as I said, was his eyes. So we just want to develop a little bit the edge of his face here, so that he looks more like he's there, but in shadow. Okay. I think that's about all we can do in pencil. So now you got to go around and erase everything that sucks. Everything that doesn't work the way you want it to work. You know what I mean? One of the great things about working with these markers is that you can totally erase through them. So once you get everything where you want it to be, you can just erase, you know, and it's powerful. You know what I mean? All right. As I said, just gonna leave this outline. Okay, so now we're going to move to working with the markers themselves. So the markers that we're using, as I said, is molotow Aqua color brushes. They're really awesome. I love them. They're transparent, but they're you know, opaque enough to work with. I really like them. I've had really a great time with them. Mostly I use the black, very good black. For this one, we're going to use some brown. I believe that's what this is. Brown. For our background information, a little yellow to give the lights something and to use on Nightcrawler's eyes. Then we know his costume is like a deep red. So this one is like not deep red, vermilion, which is like green, right? Oh, that's vermilion too. Where is my red? Orange. So it's green too, right? Wonder where my red got to. My kids tend to come in here and steal my stuff. It's actually kind of obnoxious. What color does this look like? Well, I guess vermilion is red. Don't judge me. What else do we need? Got the brown. Maybe a slightly different brown or a green for the door. Yeah, how about a green? Green. Alright, so we got a dark green and a yellow green. I think that's all we're going to use for this moment. Alright, rest of his costume is black, so we don't have to sweat that too much. I want to check out one thing real quick. Okay, all right. So he's got these cutouts here. We're going to figure all that out in just a second. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is work with some of our lighter colors. Lighter color is going to be this window back here. Just going to take out some of our under work so that we can get some lighter colors in there. All right, so we start with our friend Mr. Yellow. No shaking of these markers because they're dye. They have a brush tip. And that's pretty much what's up with them. So get some light coming out of them. I wanted to show you guys that if you let it dry, you can take mistakes out of the background. Gotta let it dry though. See, I didn't let it dry enough, so I got a little spot of yellow there. That's it for yellow for a second, because we're gonna use it on his eyes, but I feel like closer to the end. So we want to just soften those eyes up a little. Now we got the door back there. I kind of decided I would use some of this green on this door inside. Some of these panels here would be the darker green. see if you go over it, you get a tone down. I think that's a wicked cool thing. You know, like that's one of the things that makes these markers really work. You know what I mean? I super dig it. So, I got a bunch of brown here that I want to use. You know, on the ground back here, on the ground in front of him. So it's just going to be a bunch of brown. So now for this, I'm going to go back around this again to push the tone down a little. All right. Got to be careful that you don't go over any of your archways, or I have to be careful I don't go over any of my archways. What we want to do is make this ground a little darker so that this ground here is lighter as it comes closer to the camera. One of the things that's an advertisement for this, these molotow markers is that you can leave them uncovered for 24 hours before they will start to dry. Doesn't actually affect their drying here, but is an awesome, awesome benefit when it comes to accidentally leaving your marker open. I think it goes without saying, I'm not saying I'm a great artist here. I am simply here drawing with you guys so that you can maybe start drawing something yourself, or think about, you know, drawing something yourself. Like, it's fun, you know. I wish I could give these markers to everybody. These particular markers are a little bit on the challenging side to get just now. It's pretty weird, you know, like, molotow normally sends everything they get out to the U.S. slowly, doesn't get here right after. Their big launch event is called Paper World. It's in Germany, and that's where most of their markers premiere. But I feel like it takes us about 6 months to get those markers. And then they were telling me at the local suppliers that when they get stuff from Germany, they don't actually get a list. They get a truck, and in it is whatever molotow felt like sending. This is a hard way to work, man. So, but I have gotten more than enough stuff in that method, so I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying that I wish it worked a little better. These particular markers I got from molotow themselves, because even though it had never occurred to me, you can of course just call them and say, I'm looking for this marker. And what they're going to say is, you can absolutely order it, but it's going to take a while because they ship it by boat from Germany. You get it, you know, it takes a little bit, but you get it. But the problem is that it's considered a toxic chemical. It's water-based paint, actually, but it's considered a toxic chemical. So you want to be conscious of that in the event anybody comes and causes trouble. But, or like, if you want these markers, that's one way to get them. Another is Jerry's Artorama, I believe, had a few. Let me see if I can remember where I got it from. Actually, I guess it's gotten a little bit easier to get because it looks like they have them on Amazon. They have recently come out with a set 2, which is grays. I have 2 of the set 1s here, but set 2 would be cool. Have not seen it in this country yet. It's a pain. You know, I hate it. I wish that I could just get everything as it comes out. But you know, maybe that's unrealistic. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. Let's see. So here they have a whole bunch of brush markers here listed. You know, Bombing Science, which is a really great company, but they are out of the country, so they do take a little while to get paint. Again, set 1, no set 2. Oy. Huh. Meant to do that like this. Nope. See, so like nobody has it yet. You know, this is what set 2 looks like, right? These are the colors. See what they say when we get in here. Problem is you can't, you know, this is ordering directly from them, but you can't really order directly from them through this site because, first off, this is a German site that has the wrong type of money on it. Here you can see there's a 16% tax on German sales. So this is kind of not ideal. You know what I mean? So just so you know. Back to work. So the bulk of this piece is going to be black. Now I'm going to start working on that black right now, but mostly the whole background of the piece is going to be black. And consider a significant amount of his body is also black. So it's going to be hard to see. So let's get in with our black. I believe there was like one more black they had that was like super black or something crazy like that. Just another black, I guess. I'm not sure where I put that. Doesn't matter because this one will work just fine. So first thing we want to take a look at is the shadows coming off the back of his feet. You know, he's standing here in shadow, so we could put a little there, and then this whole background here is going to be black. Right. Now the cool thing with this black is that it covers all the other colors. Instead of giving you a partial blend or something that covers all the other colors. I'm going to put this guy all in shadow here. And then as we know, looking at the color of his costume, there's going to be some more black. But initially I just want to get in and start working on the shadows. This piece is really about shadow. You know, like I know the drawing took forever, but ultimately, you know, what we want is to have it just be a character standing in a background. Some kind of. So if you're going to do this kind of directionality, you know, keep it consistent. You know, like just keep doing it. You know, I think it looks cool. So, you know, you guys can do whatever you want. Now, sometimes if you're changing direction, you want to switch, but this is really not changing our direction. It looks like it is, but it isn't. These are the shadows of the pillars affecting our character. Right? this is where I want the dark to transition. You know what I mean? Now all of back here is going to be dark. Now this is a wall he's standing in front of. So it seems to me, don't want to get paint on the next piece of paper. I hate when that happens. Already done it. Let's grab a piece of paper. Stick it just under the edge here where there's a little bit of overlap. I try to keep my work surface as clear as I can, but as you can see here, there's a ton of stuff crowded around my hands. So it is what it is, you know. All right. I have a real hard time keeping my area clean. I think it's because my brain is so scattered. You know, I'm trying to work on the next piece or think of what the next piece is going to look like, and then I'm running over here, running over there. You know, it's kind of silly. All right. The brushes make a big difference in being able to fill larger areas like this. You know, you can hold it like a regular paintbrush and be able to fill like a large area, you know, kind of quickly, you know. Okay. Be careful though, because you're filling large areas. Don't forget that you're on the side and that it's going to, it's filling big areas. So you want to be careful that you don't, you know, overdo it. I'm not sure if I'm going to have the black go all the way up to the top here. I might just fade it out. Watch out for missing stuff. I miss stuff. All right. Our next piece of shadow is going to be here, so we can kind of keep the same, you know, kind of brushwork going. You guys see that? Sorry. Now I'm in too close, right? No, I don't. Sorry. Cool. So now we want the center pillar here also to be dark. Oh, don't need that anymore. Try to get in here close. This is the part where it's exceptionally easy to screw up. So just make sure, you know, I'm just going to make sure when I get in here really close that we use the tip of the brush, which is probably like a 2 millimeter, and makes it real easy to cut in here. Get tight. I like using the brush itself though for large areas. I think I'm going to take this shoulder, this piece of his costume out here so we can put it in shadow. Probably the same thing over here too. Okay. Okay. Looks pretty clean. Okay, that's most of our shadow here. On the background, anyway. A little bit of our brown. That's green. Okay. Okay. So now really we want to have the background still be brown also, because this is sort of like, this is Mexico, I feel like, and you know, we want to keep the architecture there, you know what I mean? And they have the Adobe, you know, Adobe buildings and that kind of stuff. So I think what we're gonna do is we're going to use this, our lighter brown, which is the one called yellow brown, right? Which is around here somewhere. Brown, black. Drop a marker. Oh no. Yikes. Oh, there it is. Cleverly hidden over here. Oh, that's a regular brown again. Green, orange, green. Oh, maybe there wasn't another brown. There was another green. doesn't matter about hitting the character because the character is going to be in shadow. Just want to get some kind of information that tells us this is a building back here instead of just a bunch of windows. But you want to, it's very easy to forget that you have to really keep your lines going, because if the lines stop, they look like this building is related to the archways. So we need to make sure it doesn't appear to stop. Alright, so now we got a building back there. Pretty sure the whole top up here will be black. Getting there. We've been in about an hour and a half, and we've got basically our outline finished, our beginnings of marker, and we're moving along really good. Okay. Oh yeah, we need this brown through here. Okay. That's what I was talking about. You see that it's pretty obvious we added these extra lines in, and that's what we don't want it to look like, because then it looks like the building is related to the archways as opposed to the archways being related to the building. All right. All right, so this character's upper body is going to be all silhouetted. So remember his body is all black. His costume is all black except for his gloves and his boots. So unfortunately, or fortunately, the bulk of this character's the parts of him we can see are mostly going to be black. Okay, let's swap over to this guy, which says vermilion, but I always thought vermilion was green, which only proves just how colorblind I actually am. Now, if you've just done your background in black, you want to be careful with these light colors where you don't touch it. You can smear black into another color extremely easily. So it's a good idea to do the best you can to kind of stay away from your black, at least initially, you know. Always holding too many markers, you know. Like I always have 20 markers in my hands, which is a little silly. Right. Now this guy's feet are white. Not much you can do with white with these markers. You know, you're limited in you know, kind of what you can make happen. Down here we're just adding it to the general shadow. Okay, looking for one more marker we can use, which I just dropped in here. So now I would transition over to a much finer marker, which is this one here. Hold on just one second. No shortage of markers in my life, I will be honest with you. All right, get some of our stuff out of the way. This bag right here these are India ink markers, kind of like these, a micron. This particular one is a 005. We're not going to need anything that tiny. So there's a couple of other markers mixed in here, but basically we're looking for a molotow. These are India ink brushes, markers. We're looking for something like maybe a 0.5. Not sure why I have all these other ones in here, because I really rarely use them. It will absolutely be the last handful. You know that. There we go. 0.5 looks pretty good. I consider myself to be a multimedia artist, so that is one of the reasons that I have 100 different types of media. You know what I mean? Oops. I've been using these Husky bags for art supplies. Pretty cool. They're like 3 bags for, I don't know, like $10 at Home Depot. All right, so now we're going to come in here and go a little bit in here, a little more detail-y, because now we have where his gloves go and stuff like that. So we can now establish a little bit more of this information. Am I out of the shot there? Sorry about that, you guys. Okay. Trying not to make his feet look too chicken feetish. After all, he's short a toe if it was a chicken foot. So, I don't know. Sorry about that, you guys. My Molly had to stop by and say hello. I think she really likes doing that. Whoa, coming into the home stretch, guys. I kind of like what's going on. You know, like I'm having some fun with this guy. Thinking about cheating and adding a little paint marker. I think that'll make a big difference. All right. No chicken feet. No chicken feet. It's cool to be able to layer these guys, you know. I feel like when I've used Prismacolor, I've really never been able to pull off really layering. I think it's really cool to be able to do that. right, home stretch here, guys. All right. Just tighten up a couple of our lines here. Good hard outline. All right, what do you guys think? I think we're gonna fill this area up here in black to keep them in the total shadows. A large area. Although honestly, as you can see, this marker fills some significant area really quick. I would suggest if anyone decides to buy these markers, I bought several blacks because I use a lot of black. I would recommend that. Okay. So you remember our little piece of paper we put on the edge? Gonna put them back so that we don't jam up the next piece. There we go. Okay. Poke around. See if we have anything else. Now I'm really thinking about cheating. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with some paint marker and I'm going to throw in those yellow eyes. Don't judge me. I think it'll make a big difference. I think it'll make the character look cooler. Plus, we're near the end, so why not try something totally foolish? Yellow Onapaska marker. This is what we're going to use. Should be extremely bright on this background. I think that looks really, really good. I'll let that dry for a sec. See if we can adjust it a little bit. Looks like, yep. No problem. adjusting it, which is really cool. Okay, and our little tiny stick eraser. Get in here and erase some marks I made on his fingers. Need a little bit more of a little bit of our red. Now see what happens if you get too close to the black. You pick it up, and then it's hard to put down. You know? Now this sort of looks like a series of reds, so I'm not hating it, but I wish it hadn't smudged like that. Best thing to do is if you make a mistake, make it look as intentional as possible. You know. Alright, grab our really tiny marker. I'm going to go with this one because it is the smallest marker that I have. And we're just going to place in the top of his gloves. All right, guys, we got about a minute left, so we're just going to knock out a little outlining. Outlining is not required, but it does sort of help your character kind of feel a little bit more like he's existing in his area. What you want to watch out for is making mistakes in this outline, because as I said, this is India ink, but India ink and dye is different enough that you can see it. So if you make a mistake, it's going to be there to remind you. careful about the impulse to use the wrong marker on your fill. Alright guys, we're just about done here. And what we're going to do today All right, guys, so we're just over 2 hours. I hope you guys had a good time working with me today. We're going to be here, I believe, tomorrow and Thursday, same time, 1 to 3. I'd love to hear from you guys if anybody's interested in some comments or anything like that, or anybody is interested in seeing anything artwork-wise. I believe the next piece I'm going to work on is an airbrush stencil piece. If anybody's interested in that, that's tomorrow. Working on the symbol for Cthulhu. Add that to our leather jacket project. So if